Welcome to the hub.
To most people, the movies in their theaters mean Hollywood, where 30,000 specialists working in 272 separate arts and crafts, sciences and trades make the movies, working as a team to put their ideas into pictures.
Hello, we're here with Zahn McClarnon. Hello, Zahn.
Hello. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
So, that's an interesting first name.
Yes, it is, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
It's actually a last name.
Oh, really?
My great-great-uncle's. His name was Francis Zahn. He was an artist. He was a tribal judge on the Standing Rock Sioux Reservation, North Dakota, in Fort Yates. And they named me after him.
Really?
Except they gave, his last name, my first name.
Oh, okay.
So it's Zahn.
Zahn
Yeah,
McClarnon.
my middle name is Dokiaku.
Dokiako?
Ku.
Ku?
Yeah, means one that kind of like comes out first, looks first, appears first. I have a twin brother.
Oh, really?
Yeah, his name is Ohakeku, which is the last one. So I'm 4 minutes older than he is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, you like scan the area and then he follows you.
Exactly, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah.
He looks out first or comes ahead, comes first.
How did you get into acting?
I did some local theater in Nebraska. I was probably about your age, actually a little older, 20, 21. And I kind of caught the bug, I mean, I did little things when I was a little kid in grade school and stuff.
Right, yeah.
But I was in Nebraska in 1989, and I was reading a newspaper, and they were looking for somebody to audition for the play Jesus Christ Superstar.
Oh, really?
Are you familiar with that?
Yes.
Yeah. Fantastic musical. I think one of the best. Andrew Lloyd Webber.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Yeah, I grew up with that, the album, and my dad took us to the play when we were younger.
So you were like a fan of the play before you even auditioned?
Oh, I was, yeah. So when I saw it in the newspaper, and I said, I can't really sing, but I just went for it anyway. Yeah. And they hired me. It was one of the apostles, though, but they still hired me. I had to sing, and we had a great run of the show in Council Bluffs, Iowa. A little metropolitan theater, and that's how I got into it. I went and started doing local commercials in Omaha, Nebraska, and I did 2 of them, and said, I think I want to move to Los Angeles, see if I can be an actor, and that was in 1991, moved out here.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Do you normally find yourself like a challenge with like the typecasting of the Native American role, like you only get submitted for a Native role, you know what I mean?
Do I find it challenging?
Well, I mean, does that happen to you?
Of course.
Yeah.
I've played Latino roles though. So it's not always the Native American. I just did an episode of a show called Castle, which it was nondescript. The character was just a bookie.
Oh, okay.
And he wasn't Native or Latino or whatever. He was just a bookie.
Do you prefer those roles, or?
I prefer work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I really do.
Go for it. Yeah.
I like to work, so it doesn't really matter to me. I mean.
What was your favorite role that you've played?
My favorite role that I've played. I played. I would just say right now what's going on. I'm doing a show called Longmire. Reoccurring role. I play a character called Matthias, who's a cop, and I've been enjoying that quite a bit. I played a gay hairdresser one time.
Really?
His name was Savage Dave, and I had a lot of fun doing Savage Dave. Yeah, I had a lot of fun doing it.
What was your hair like for that role?
They had me in a little wig. It was a Dutch. It was like a Dutch cut, you know. And he had a little blow dryer on his belt. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I worked on it for about 12 days on the movie.
That's great.
And the whole time we had a blast.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So these are your awards.
Yes, some awards that I won. These are all from the First Americans in the Arts, which is no longer going on, I think because of money issues. But back in 1996, she was two. Dangerous Minds, I was a recurring character for the Outstanding Guest Performance. So I got a Native American playing a Latino who got an award.
For being Native American.
From a Native American organization, which I think is great.
Yeah.
I think it should be like that more often. I did a miniseries called Into the West in 2005, and they gave me the Outstanding Performance. Played a character named Running Fox. Mm-hmm. This one is from an Outstanding Guest Performance from a show called Chicago Hope. Is that before your time, too?
Yeah.
Great show. It was a kind of a hospital show. And this one is from Red Nations Film Festival. And I won this I did a series last year called Ringer with Michelle Gellar. Mm-hmm. I played the bad guy on that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, did eight episodes of that last year, which was fun. I like playing the bad guy, you know.
So tell us a little bit more about this show, Longmire.
Longmire's on A&E. Mm-hmm. I have a recurring role. I'm not a regular on the show yet. I wish. No, it's a contemporary Western set in Wyoming. It's based on a series of books called Longmire. A guy named Craig Johnson wrote. Mm-hmm. They're mysteries about a sheriff who's, he solves these mysteries in each book. The books are really good.
Oh.
The TV show has gotten quite a following so far. I'm a recurring character. They did 10 episodes last year. I worked on 3 of the episodes. Mm-hmm. And it got huge ratings and lots of people liked him. I think there's a big fan base of the books, mm-hmm. Craig Johnson's fans, right. And so they all watch it. And, mm-hmm. I really enjoy working. I enjoy being on the set, and it's what I do, and it's my passion, and
yeah.
I hope to continue being on sets.
Yeah.
And all I can do is prepare myself for those situations by staying in class and studying, mm-hmm. Being the best possible actor I can. I think it's something that you need to. It's like exercising. You just have to stay in shape.
Right.
And you're constantly learning, and
Definitely.
I think the best place to learn is on the set. The engine needs rebuilt, and that's going to take some precision work. After the fact, I'm sure it's going to be worth some decent coin, but the initial outlay, that's just going to cut into that pretty drastically. If you any more than that, you're seriously cutting into my profit margin.
I can pay. Here's $300.
I'm impressed, but listen, $300, it doesn't go far, okay? Especially when you're talking about bricks for distribution. Come on, Roach. All right, Shayna, let me take you to my little spot where I keep my little toys, my recreational toys. Let's see if I can get this. This is what I like to do when I like to relax.
Wow! Ta-da!
These are my Harley Davidsons.
Okay.
This one is called a Buell. So it's a speed bike.
When do you usually drive this one?
Just around town to get to auditions and stuff. Mm-hmm. Like when you go on the 405.
Right.
Got lots of traffic.
Yeah.
This goes right down the center of the traffic.
So you're that guy.
Yeah, along with many, many others. This one is my little bar hopper.
It's beautiful.
This is my baby. This is a 2006 Electra Glide. This one is for those long distance trips
Right,
up
yeah.
to Canada. I've been all over the United States on this thing. It's got like 52,000 miles on it in about a 4-year period. I have a lot of fun on these. You know, it's become somewhat of a passion of mine to ride. I love riding.
Right.
And
Where's your favorite place to drive, like as far as like scenic?
I mean, there's so many. California is a beautiful state, you know.
Right,
It's absolutely gorgeous out here. The Sierras are beautiful. Yosemite, Glacier National Park is my top
Really?
place to ride my bike. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's pretty much where I spent the first 10 years of my life. It's about 20 miles outside of Browning, Montana.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely gorgeous, yeah. I don't like it this loud, actually. I really don't. I just put a cam, it's a racing cam in the engine. That's why it's so loud. Actually,
What?
Exactly.
What is the big deal about Harley Davidson? Like, why is that the only bike name I know?
It's an American-made bike. There is a certain mystique about Harleys. Okay, I was in Montana. I was like 8 years old. I'm in a VW van, right? With my brothers. I have 3 brothers, my parents. And we're driving down the highway, and all of a sudden, I would say probably 150 bikes just came by us and just and I'm like, Dad, what is that? And it was it was the Hells Angels, actually.
Right.
And this is in the 70s. And from then on, there was something about seeing that group of people go by me on those bikes and the noise, and you know, I was fascinated by it. And I saw Easy Rider when I was a kid, and Harley's always became the bike to get.
Well, thank you so much for talking to me today. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Shayna. I appreciate you being interested in interviewing me.
Of course.
It's very nice meeting you.
Nice to meet you, too.
So we're here in Santa Fe. We're with Rulan Tangen, the artistic director of Dancing Earth, and we're going to find out a little bit about what she does.
I guess the name says it all with Dancing Earth, because I'm going to take you down into the arroyo here. And you know, most dance companies rehearse in dance studios, and there's that thing about creativity when you know, sometimes if you don't have the things that you think you need, like, oh, we don't have our own dance studio, so we got to find places to dance. And then, you know, like outdoor, that's free. And it turns out that's one of the most inspiring places to be. Like right now, the way you're walking, you're walking differently than you would if you were on a hard pavement. And when you walk through your feet, in order to like feel the contours of the ground, that affects your whole spine. Inside your spine is your marrow and your DNA, so you're like shaking it all up and decolonizing yourself just by walking this way. If we were barefoot, even more so. Because right now your feet are protected. That, I'm going to take off my shoes. This is how I do it. I learn how to, like,
You go barefoot.
Yeah, I go barefoot.
Well, I'll go barefoot with you.
There you go.
How about that?
Feel your feet on the ground. Yeah, so your feet are going to tell you about this ground here. It's going to tell you. Actually, I thought my feet would be telling me that there was a big rainstorm yesterday, but it already seems to have dried up. What I do is called Indigenous Contemporary Dance, and it's just a handful of us doing it, mostly in Canada, but we have this concept that had been called blood memory. Like when you're learning how to walk in a certain way and your spine is responding a certain way, if you do these kind of explorations for a long enough time, you're coming into this ancestral knowledge. And so there's this idea that we've been carrying in this contemporary dance form, that we can access all of those knowledges through our body. Even if there's been gaps, let's say, you know, there's so many examples of like relocation and adoption and things being, you know, disenfranchisement, many things to break the links, but that we can find those links again. And there's this elder named Jerry Oldman in Canada, and he said things like, if everything is lost but you can remember one word in your indigenous language, you can go into that word and the sound of that word and you can find everything back again. And then he said, and if you miss all of that, you can go back to the land, you know, hopefully if it's still in any form that was close to ancestral form, and find all that knowledge through the land.
Well, so what inspired you to start all this? How did you begin Dancing Earth?
I had been dancing all around everywhere. I'd been dancing in New York and Canada and Europe, and always, like as a dancer, the way I was learning it, even with powwow dance, you know, it was very sort of classical, like you learn a form and you try to be your best at doing it, and so you can be versatile. So if a choreographer comes, they'll be like, okay, you know, move like this, move like that. So it was always being an instrument to someone else's dream, but there was something in me that had a dream that I didn't feel like had been created yet. And I think I just finished a tour with Robert Mirabal doing like 80 cities in 3 months. It was brutal.
80 cities?
It's crazy. We were living in a bus. We got to know each other better than we would ever need to. We were like 20 of us in 2 buses, and oh yeah, I was hungry. I remember that. And right after that, I got very sick. I got cancer.
Wow.
And it was stage 4 cancer.
Wow.
And when I came out of it, I didn't have muscles. I barely had skin. I didn't have hair. And it was an interesting way to see the world, because I think his TV special was still playing on PBS, so I could flip it on and see me like as the courtship girl, you know, dancing with him, and I could be in a room with people. Of course, they wouldn't recognize me, like we're watching it on TV in the hospital room, and I'd be like, "Hey, that's me," and "Oh, sure, it's you." Wow. So I was put to a state where I couldn't even move. I couldn't even tie my shoes, but I knew I was going to. Well, I was given a vision that was telling me that I was going to live. And there was a purpose to it. And I couldn't dance. I couldn't, but I had to work. I had to support myself. Like, you know, I'm a working class person. I have to work all the time. So Joe Baker, who was the curator for the Heard Museum, he said he wanted me to come and dance at an opening. And I was, just to get to that meeting, like for me to walk the block to get to that meeting, I had to sit down like 3 times. So I was like, oh, okay, Joe, yeah, I could really use the commission. But I said, oh, I've got to be smart. I've got to be smart. First of all, I didn't want to let him know that I couldn't move. So I was just sitting very gracefully, like, oh, okay. And I said, well, let's bring in a beautiful costume and let's bring in a live musician. Because I'd heard about this young musician in Arizona. He was a native violinist. And he was like, yeah, we'll do that. So I was like, okay, I'll have a great costume and I'll just sort of like pose very slowly by the paintings. You like move real slow, and then you have this amazing violinist kind of take the attention. To divert from the fact that I couldn't dance. And instead, I got there to the museum, and this wasn't even this is just a rehearsal. He started playing, Quetzal Guerrero started playing. He started playing and I started dancing. Probably a longer dance than I could even do now. And that was, then he said, you know what, I'm a dancer too. And I was like, really? I mean, he definitely was very fit, but he's a capoeirista, martial artist, and he was a break dancer. And he said, yeah, I've got some friends too, some native guys that are break dancers. And boom, that was my first company. And really it was like taking the dreams that were inside my head and putting them onto other bodies. And that's choreography. So that became Dancing Earth.
Nice.
Yeah. So one of them was Quetzal Guerrero, and he's now like touring the world as a musician. The other was Thosh Collins, who's Autumn from that area, from Phoenix. And he's now a well-known photographer. You probably have been photographed by him. And the other one was Alejandro Meraz, who's now called Alex Meraz. And
oh, he's one of the wolves in Twilight.
I think of him as more than one of the wolves, but yeah, he's an amazing, you know, he's a filmmaker, he's an actor, he's a dancer. Yeah,
he's cool.
We got to go to like 27 cities in 2010 and 2011 for this production we did. So what the theaters would say is that out of all the companies that tour, we did the most amount of workshops with youth. They had interactions with native communities that they said never usually would come out to theaters. Sometimes we'll be booked at a theater and they're like, oh, there's not really any native people around here. I'm like, oh, you'll be surprised. There's native people everywhere, actually.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think about what's the role of art. And you know, it was always functional, you know, it was purposeful in all of our traditions, and there's a reason behind things. So what's the reason? You know, what's the reason that we're going these places? Because there's a message, there's something that needs to be shared, something to uplift, to transform for the positive. So, you know, when we're talking about like what's the most important thing for youth right now, is it about eating better? Is it about exercise? Like, I think about how these themes will translate for the youth. I mean, I think the water theme is important because there's so many of our creation stories from different places. Even desert people, you know, they've got these crazy creation stories that involve water. So that sort of brings the indigenous perspective for the importance of water, which, you know, in terms of science and biology is
And our
also-
bodies are like 85%
exactly same as the earth. You know, we're the same as the earth. We're so much about water.
Important to keep that water pure.
Some people feel like I'm pretty strict about it, but it's important that when a dancer comes into the company that they agree to be completely drug and alcohol free for the time that they're working with the company, because we are role models for Native country, and I don't want to be hypocritical. And I also feel like if I truly believe that our performances are sacred space and ritual and, you know, a place where powerful transformation can happen, then you have to be clear. We sort of look at the old sculptures and the stone carvings, and we first like take those shapes, and then we feel, okay, so if his shape's like this, what would happen if he's doing this but he's on his head or he's on his side, and, you know, all those different things, and then the movements in between. We noticed they had a lot of interesting hand gestures in those codices. And then what I found out when I was working on the films of Apocalypto, we were looking at the Mayan and Aztec codices to kind of get our ideas for movement. And we found out that a lot of the hand gestures were similar to the Plains Indian Sign Language. For instance, how you count. Instead of bringing a finger up to count, you bring a finger down. I know that was the same thing in common with the Mayan people as with, yeah, I always have carrying these big bags around with all the costumes and props. This is a painting. I think we're going to use this for the pollution and poisoning scene. It's by Aaron Nate. He's also a musician. He's composed one of the tracks for us, and he might be dancing with us in the next one. And it kind of shows like water. I kind of associate this with the stories about damming that we're hearing about. I've heard about them in the Northwest and then Northeast, Woodlands people and the West Coast people. But this idea of like the flow, you can see it's constricted, and that's been causing, like what's going on in Brazil right now. There's Kayapo people that their way of life is going to be ending because of the damming of the Belo Monte Dam. So the Native people are there in like full paint and feathers, and they're disassembling the dam by hand. So that's I guess it happens when there's Native people always live near water. So then when there's the big cities that are built, they want that water, and they take it away from those people. Like I talk about how we're taking these little bits of things, these discarded fingernails and dust and languages and bones that have been tossed away, and then that's that's a progression I use to like find that ancestral body, like all of the things that have been forgotten and remembering them again. These are very cool bowls. They're made by Leland Chapin. He's an artist in Arizona. He grew up with the Kuna people in Panama. So he created these. They look really heavy, but they're lightweight bowls, and we'll be using them in our piece. So we look at different ways to carry them. You know, the idea of that weight, like where that water is touching. It's almost like a power point. Like if it's on your shoulder, if it's on your hip, you carry it here like a baby. Water carriers. That's something they talk about a lot. Is women as, you know, carriers of life, carriers of water, carriers of life. So we're using these bowls as well. I really love how, you know, I've been focused on dance and trying to, you know, that's been my thing, but I've been able to meet all these great collaborators with native musicians and composers and, you know, artists that all contribute to the vision that's Dancing Earth.
Well, it's been a pleasure, Miss Rulan.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time.
I like the shadows on the ground. I like it. Like we can make a multi-armed being. See, yep, there you go. Yeah. Oh yeah, let's fly, let's fly.
Like a dragonfly.
Yeah, there you go. A little more with the elbow,
Like a-
Martin. A little
there
more with
we
the
go.
elbow. Oh, yeah, two-headed dragonfly. There you go. It's art, performance art right there in the arroyo.
Performance art.
Yeah, when you can just make something out of nothing. That's magic. That's what I like to do.
Rulan, Tangen, Dancing Earth. It's been awesome.
Hey.
Thank you.
Thanks, Wayne.
And welcome to Edmonton, Alberta. We're here at a local cultural arts center, Sun and Moon Visionaries Aboriginal Artisan Society.
And it's not a closed system now, it's an opening system. You're welcoming everybody to be a part of this system and to be a part of this community, which is beautiful. I think our art in our community is magnificent. There's nothing like it in the world.
So we're here in Edmonton, Alberta with Helen Callahasen, the Executive Director of the Dream Speakers Festival.
2005 was our very first year that we inducted into our Walk of Honor.
We got a chance to meet up with Dakota House.
They're gonna shut you down and they're gonna close their eyes, they're gonna take a nap.
Yeah.